Well, hey, happy Easter, everyone. Welcome back to my little gardening show. Streaming a little early tonight, but just got done. Had my wife's brother, my brother in law, was over with his kids for just a little bit to kind of do some family stuff. The kids like doing this thing called Peep Wars, where we get some peeps, put them in the microwave. Hey, Frank, what's up, man? Yeah, put toothpicks in the peeps, space them apart, and basically run the microwave, and whichever one punctures the other one first wins. So they're just both kind of blowing up, and then one hits the other one. It's kind of fun. They had a little bracket and all that. Yeah, man. Hey, I wanted to show you. Yeah, I've got another video that I'll probably be posting on this separate, but this afternoon I worked on this other grow box, and it's pretty sweet, man. I gotta show you. Let's see here. Maybe we can flip this around. I got these suckers. Two of them my dad picked up a couple years ago. They were on clearance. I think he got them for like 15 bucks a piece. But they're about probably 9-10 inches deep. There's probably a good 6-7 inches where you can, I could fill it up higher if I wanted to, but I'm using it to grow lettuce. But I got this set up. Got the grow mix, my little flange pipe to bottom water it, and I set it up Mittleider style. I've got that handkerchief so I can water it real quick without washing anything out. It worked out pretty good. So I made up my batches too. Get some mason jars. So this is the pre-plant mix. This is like dolomite lime and like boron, some Epsom salt, I guess borax, 20 mule borax. But this is good. This is my pre-plant mix I used in there. And then this is the mineral mix, which is basically the triple 12 that Tom got me. The Epsom salt and the minerals, micro minerals. Got that in like a smaller quantity in here. I'm going to make some of this up for my coworker at work. She's going to try to do a little backyard garden this year, so I'm going to try to hook her up with some minerals. I even took the time, I made a little conversion, a little chart that shows kind of how to go about it. There's kind of 3 different fertilizers. There's the pre-plant mix, there's the weekly feed, and then the constant feed. Now, the constant feed is basically a liquid form of the weekly feed. Basically, the columns over here. The problem with the Mittleider, well, I guess it's not really a problem, but they list all the stuff in like really big quantities, like to make 25-30 pounds of fertilizer. Hey Tom, what's up, man? So I got this broken down where I can make smaller batches, like basically make a pound at a time. And there's my conversion for the different ingredients to make a pound at a time, and then to do 1 gallon, like a gallon jug of the constant feed. And I got my conversions down here, so this works out pretty good. I can mix some stuff up on the fly. I was telling Frank, I don't know if he's still on. I see one viewer. I guess that's you, Tom. Frank was on. Now maybe he's back on now. But I was showing Frank the little grow box. I made a recorded video on it. It's more in depth, but I got the other one set up. Yeah, and what's really cool is that it's on wheels. I found the wheels. They were a bear to kind of put on, but for whatever reason, just really tight fit. But I got the wheels on there, so this thing rolls. So what's really cool about that is, summer I could push them all out onto the driveway, and if the weather gets bad or something, we can wheel them all back into the garage. That, or if I put them on the back deck, depending on how I arrange it, kind of same deal. I could have them out exposed and stuff, and then if the weather's going to get bad, I can either push them up against the house underneath the awning or do something like that. But I'm going to see if I can get a couple more of these, because what I could see doing is a bunch of like greens and stuff we're going to eat pretty frequently. And we're still going to do stuff out at the big garden, but it'd be kind of nice to have all kinds of stuff here, and it'd be really easy. Like the kids could take care of it, as far as keeping it watered and fertilizing it and stuff like that. So yeah, cool stuff. It's been pretty cool. I don't know. You guys have a good Easter? Yeah, and I still need to watch your video. I saw you posted where you'd finished out your beds. I got some video watching to catch up on. And then I got some studying up to do. Hey Swampy, how's it going, man? Or woman? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, some friends texted me different stuff that they were doing where they did, I guess, drive-in style services. Hey Swampy, I think this is the first time I've seen you on a live stream. It's cool that you're dropping in. I mean, usually I've been popping in later. While we're here, there's my peppers. They're looking pretty good. Yeah. That's hilarious. About everything's come up in this row. Those are the last ones for whatever reason. I haven't opened this one up yet. Still nothing there. But I imagine it'd be pretty soon. Tommy. Hilarious, man. Yeah, it's kind of cool today. We after services and stuff, we pretty much just hung out here. Didn't do a ton. I was able to kind of putz around down here. I got a big mess I got to clean up. Oh shoot. But we did ham, and my wife's got this recipe for homemade potato salad that she got from her grandma, and it's just really, really good. You know, a while back, the whole gender thing was kind of a big deal. You know, especially at like the larger corporations. I think some of that's cooled off. It's not as bad. But anyway, we kind of sat down. We had real nice meal. It was just like our family. Like we didn't really have anybody over for that, and just been kind of laid back. Schedule's kind of freed up. Well, that's awesome. That's one thing I wouldn't mind doing at some point, but where we live, there's like a city ordinance where you gotta have, I think it's like 3 acres. Yeah, I got your email. I responded. Like I said, I got some research to do on stuff that might be a good option. There's a You live on 300 acres? That is awesome. Did you inherit that? Because I guess it depends where you live, but property is kind of expensive. That's awesome. How much of it is tillable versus wooded? Yeah, that's room for like a compound. I mean, you could set up like a perimeter and stuff, and you could have all kinds of. You could do a lot on that. I always thought having like an acre, maybe 3 acres, would be like that'd be about right. Like it'd be sustainable, for one person to kind of keep up with. Maybe 5 acres at the most, but 300. That's amazing. So, what state are you in? Pennsylvania? Yeah, that's amazing. Especially in Pennsylvania, because I know when we were in Indiana, there were Pennsylvania Dutch that had come over to Indiana because property was so expensive in Pennsylvania. They couldn't afford to really get what they wanted, so they moved to Indiana. So how big of a garden do you have, or farm? I imagine you probably got a tractor and you're probably doing stuff on a real big scale, huh? Yeah, I think if I was on a property like that, I mean that'd be a full time, definitely a full time venture. It probably takes you several days to mow grass. I imagine. So you watching the True Potato Seed List? It's probably gonna be another week or two before I get potatoes and stuff in the ground because the weather's still kind of sketchy. It looks like it's gonna be 30s and 40s this next week, and the 10-day forecast wasn't looking super good. Yeah, it would be interesting. I've got every year when we were growing potatoes, I usually have, most of them usually put up the little flower stalk and like the little seed ball, but I've never harvested them or anything like that. Yeah, same here. It seems like May is like when is about the time when we can get out in the field and start doing stuff. Before then, it's just too wet or cold. Like the weather just fluctuates too much. I don't have like row covers, or anything like that. So pretty much wait till end of April, beginning of May to get stuff in the ground, depending on the weather. Yeah, I think it's about the same here around mid-May. Mother's Day weekend usually is kind of the weekend most people will do tomatoes and like the warm weather stuff around here. I typically, it depends when Mother's Day weekend falls. If it falls really early in the month, I'll usually just wait and plant later. If it falls kind of mid-month, then sometimes I'll take the risk. The last couple years, I've been actually waiting until Memorial Day weekend, around that time frame, or a week before, somewhere in there, before I start doing stuff, just to be on the safe side. And even then, there's occasionally like some freak storms that come through. It just somewhat unpredictable. I know this last month we had, I think it was like the rainiest June, one of the rainiest Junes on record, and almost every day cloudy. And it really didn't start warming up till July. Significantly, it seemed like. But this year's gonna be a little different. I've got a daughter that's graduating high school. We homeschool, so we were gonna have like a little celebration and party and stuff, invite people in, and that's all more than likely going to be canceled because of everything that's going on. So we'll have to do like a virtual open house or do something different for her, and some of the party stuff we'd normally do, we'll have to do something different this year, which is okay. I mean, we'll figure it out, I guess. And she's not, I think, really too heartbroken about it. She's somewhat like me, like not, she wasn't real sentimental about it. Like, she was looking forward to it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, okay, we can't, and just kind of moved on. Yeah, to live in a milder climate where your growing season's a lot longer, or you can grow year round. That is kind of enviable. Or like what Swampy's saying there, to have an indoor setup where you got like either heated greenhouse or something where you can extend the season or even grow year round is ideal. I know who is it? David over at the LDS Prepper channel. He's got these. Oh, he set up two greenhouses. It's got like PVC frames, and he's got them heated by running air, through the ground. Where basically, what's the term for that? Basically, he dug down. I don't know, it was 6-8 foot, like dug out, excavated the whole base of the greenhouse, and ran all this piping underground, and it's got tubes coming out, and he's got a like some kind of, yeah, it's kind of like a hoop house, geothermal. That's the word I was looking for. He's got two geothermal greenhouses. Yeah, doing the massing where he's running during the winter. He's running the cold air. The cold air runs underground and gets heated to whatever ground temperature is. Warms it up by 20-30 degrees, and is able to get the temperature above freezing so he can do his thing. And then in the summertime, kind of same deal. You can kind of cool down the greenhouse. So he's growing year round. He's got he's doing veggies in the one, and he does the Mittleider methods. Veggies in the one, and then like dwarf fruit trees and stuff in the other. And then there's another guy. He's got a little channel. It's called Soil Block Fuelie or something, or Small Block Fuelie. Anyway, he's doing basically the same thing. He's got a geothermal greenhouse that he's set up, and was able to kind of extend things. And then there's a guy that's in Oklahoma. What's the name of that channel? Anyway, this guy's named Leon. He owns a business where, yeah, where he sells these caterpillar tunnels that looked really interesting, where they set up a frame that will last, a really long time. And then I think the standard's like 12 by 24 foot. Is kind of like their main hoop house that they, yeah, aqua, hydrocracky, the hydroponics. I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing some really cool stuff, along that line, and able to produce, quite a bit. Oh, that's cool. Hey, Stone, what's up, man? Happy Easter. Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do, if you've got, even if you don't have a whole lot of property, there's still a whole lot you could do. Just takes a little creativity and, some resources to make it happen, some time. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that you make sure that it makes sense, like you're actually doing something that that's gonna benefit you. That's kind of like growing vegetables and stuff. Like, in years past, you grow all kinds of stuff, but it wasn't real practical. Like, we didn't really know what to use the stuff in as far as dishes, or B, didn't, you know, the majority of the family didn't like what was being grown on some of that stuff, so it just kind of went to waste. Maybe we would pick a little bit here and there, but just weren't using it. Yeah, Swampy, would you ever consider selling some property? No. Well, I have to check out your channel, see what you got going on. I mean, now's the time to really study it and kind of learn, as much as you can, because you don't know, if you're going to end up needing to use that, depending on how things go. I've got I don't know, my wife got it at the Cracker Barrel or something, but it's like a country skills book. It's like this big manual that's like 18 inches long, and real big kind of newspaper style pages that had loaded with all kinds of information, like skills to live off the land, and like if you had to do stuff manually, or like you didn't have access to like store-bought stuff, like how to go about doing things, how to go about building stuff. And I don't know, all that stuff again, it fascinates me. If I had more time, that I could dedicate to it, I probably would. One thing I was looking at here recently was getting either making or purchasing a little rocket stove. There's a guy the other day I was watching his channel, is a plant abundance. He's got a lot of neat videos where fiddleheads. No. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of instructions. It doesn't look like it's that difficult. There's one I saw where, yeah, they've done it with bricks, or they did it with concrete, where they had an insert of like foam or something. Well, I guess the whole idea with the rocket stove is that the chimney pipe or whatnot has got a angle in it or something, so that the burn is, there's like a secondary burn as smoke's going out that will actually incinerate it. So it's kind of low smoke, and you can do, it doesn't take hardly anything in terms of fuel, like some sticks basically, or whatnot. Very minimal fuel requirements to burn, and then be able to like cook stuff, or have as a heat source or whatnot. Anyway, I was kind of looking at those. That looked like a pretty neat idea to do something like that. I've actually got a yeah, my buddy in Indiana, he's hunting morels right now. I called him, this was on Friday, and he was out in the woods in Lafayette, Indiana, hunting for morels. And we were talking about Easter memories today, kind of going around the table. Yeah, so we were talking about memories, and I can remember we'd go over to my aunt's house. They own, it's the one that does the flower farm, and they've got a lot of property and actually a log cabin that years ago was featured in like Better Homes and Gardens. They got this kit from California and basically had a crane come in and assemble it, but they did all the chinking and wiring and basically finished it out themselves. And it's awesome. And they've lived there for, golly, probably 50 years, 40 years, something like that. But anyway, we go over there for Easter, and they've got woods where they probably had about 15, 20 acres. And we go down and hunt for morels after kind of this Easter lunch, and we'd stay, going into dinner, and we'd fry up all these morels, bread them and all that. And man, that was a lot of fun. It was really good. Hey, thanks for dropping in, Swampy. Like I said, I have to check out some videos. Yeah, in my old town, there was actually a food truck. It was actually a pull-behind trailer that was parked up at the VFW, and they sold, what was it, bluefin and morels. I think that's what it was. Or no, bluegill, not bluefin. Bluegill and morels was what they sold out of this little food truck. And it was kind of seasonal. I mean, they weren't there all year, but they would come in the spring and in summertime and sell stuff there. I thought that was kind of cool. I've seen online you can actually buy the spores, like this kit to grow your own morels, or if you've got wood chips laying around or whatever, you can mix up this batch of water and basically incubate the wood chips, and as long as it's got the right conditions, you can grow your own morels. Yeah, they go for crazy money. Yeah. I mean, there should be a bunch because we've gotten a lot of rain here lately. Seems like most nights it's raining, so things are like, damp and like, seems like the conditions that stuff would really grow well in. So have you gotten any morels? Some of my kids love mushrooms. I love mushrooms. My wife does not like them at all. Wow. Yeah, if you do, that would be cool, and I will fry them up. Some of my kids, the younger ones, have never had morels. That's another thing. Yeah, I know. It's a shame. What I need to do is take a couple days off and take them out somewhere to go hunting for them. Yeah, yeah. My daughter, I was telling them earlier here, it's kind of low key day, and she got this. It's pretty neat, like a set from Ukraine or something. It's to do this kind of intricate artwork on eggs, where you've got this apparatus. It's got a little stamp on it, and you put it in a candle. It melts this wax, and then you basically imprint the egg with these patterns, these wax patterns, and color it. And it looked really cool. No, I got to work tomorrow. And well, we'll kind of see how the week goes. Maybe if the week's pretty slow, maybe I'll take a day. Yeah, I need to find some time because, and I showed them. Frank seen them. I don't know if everybody else did, but that's awesome. You get the day off. But my peppers are a popping. So's my eggplant. This is the eggplant. But I need to get these transplanted here at some point. Fortunately, they're kind of slow growing, so I'm not going to have to worry about detangling them a whole lot. Yeah, maybe early next week I can see what the schedule's looking like. You know what would be cool if something did work out. Yeah, I got your banana peppers. Well, maybe what would be cool if I got the kids or whatnot, I swing by and get you, and we'd go together. You could lead the charge in the mushroom hunting. We see what we get. Yeah, I think they'd enjoy that. I don't. Do you go to one of the state parks or something? Like I know we can't. They won't let anybody camp, but they hadn't put any restrictions on people going to the parks. And I imagine there's other people, that are out and about. Which reminds me, what's his name? Yeah. Oh, shoot. Yeah. That reminds me when we were, this is 2 years ago. Usually around June's when you go to get the strawberries and all of that. And I think the fields had flooded, something ignorant happened, so they didn't have the option for you to actually go pick. at this you pick. Instead, you had to get them right there on the table. And so I was joking around, you know, and my wife was like, "Well, now this is the way to pick strawberries." Right off the table and into my cart. Um, but we'll typically do that. We actually, there's a berry farm in Mechanicsburg. Oh, wow. Well, let me know what day, like I said, potentially, if not this next week or the early, you know, whatever day you were talking there, might be able to work out. But we've still got all kinds of frozen berries from this berry farm we went to. Usually we make some jam and stuff like that. My brother was in town last year for that. Yeah, for sure, man. We gotta do that. And we didn't get around to like the berries. I knew they were gonna go bad, so I ended up putting them in the food saver. So we got all kinds of stuff that we still need to do something with before this year. Um, let's see here. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. There's another one that's trying to think of the name of the city, but they sell the blueberries and blackberries too. We got blueberries back in like July. They're real good. That's another thing I wouldn't mind growing, you know, and trying out myself. Well, I'm gonna spend some time. Frank had sent me an email where he's thinking about doing some videos on. That's cool. I had an old coworker that's in New Ross, Indiana. Every once in a while, she shoots me a picture of turkeys that are walking down the street because it's a real small town. But anyways, you know, Frank had sent me an email about trying to figure out vegetables you can plant, stuff you can plant where you can kind of set it and forget it and just let it go. Low bush blueberries. I'll have to check into that. Yeah, I don't know what kind of bush, you know, blueberries we picked this last year, but they were like jumbo. Yeah, the Ron Popeil gardening bed. Oh shoot! Now I do know, yeah, grass. We could plant grass. I'm sure that would come back. We wouldn't have to worry about that. Oh shoot! I guess what comes to mind is like perennial vegetables. You know, like you were talking about the Egyptian walking onions that kind of develop at the top and then fall down and then re-root and all of that. Asparagus is another one. Um, there's some leafy greens that are in that family that pretty much once you start them, yeah, mint. That stuff's kind of invasive. We had a bunch of that planted underneath the deck, you know, because it's a natural mosquito repellent too. Try to keep the mosquitoes at bay. Um, yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of greens. I do some checking. The key would be it need to be stuff that you knew you like. You want to eat, like you know would get harvested. Um, yeah, couldn't. I'm sure there's a ton of herbs, different herbs. I know my sister actually. I haven't made a lot of videos about it, but outside of the garden, well, she's got a little bit of the garden area that she does flowers and different things that she likes to grow. But we also have these two cinder block beds that my dad had built. They're about 4 foot wide and they're about 10 foot long. And inside the holes of I was about ready to say gingerbread house, but inside the holes of the cinder blocks, she planted a bunch of different type of flowers and herbs and stuff, and they've come back. Chives is another. That's a really good one. That'll come back year after year, and it's pretty easy to harvest and reseeds itself pretty easily. Um, Strawberries, that's another one. Um, Depending that's not too bad. I guess there's a couple different ways of growing them. We had some at the house, but then they ended up getting something happened to them. They got rust, some kind of infection on the leaves. We ended up ripping them all out. Rhubarb's another one, which again I got the seeds this next week. I'm gonna try to get some seeds out in the mail to you, Frank. All right, Stone. Thanks for dropping in, man. Yeah. Tell Gracie happy Easter. So I don't know, Tom. You've been quiet here. You know any stuff you can plant and just forget it, just come back year after year? You know, one thing that I had that came back and I was surprised was Swiss chard. We had last year, so 2 years ago, we planted chard and left some of it in the garden and mulched it. And the following year, Swiss chard sprouts were coming out of the main kind of stem or whatever that we had left in place, which that was surprising. Um, Yeah, and other stuff will go if you let it go to seed, like lettuce. That will come back. Radishes is another one that we've let go to seed and just fall to the ground, and then they kind of plant themselves. It was crown growth, which, like I said, that kind of surprised me. I thought the winter had killed everything, but it didn't. But I'm sure there's some other stuff. I'll have to look. I got some gardening books upstairs. After we get done here, I'll probably look at, along with some other things tonight and see. I planted some romaine lettuce tonight. Yeah, every once in a while I've got. They don't always put up seed stalks, but like kale, I've been able to save seeds from kale and broccoli before. Not so much the other stuff, as far as the cold weather or cooler weather stuff. Though the Swiss chard does well in the warm weather. It's almost like a something you could eat, kind of like lettuce. It tastes like beets. And the kids like the stems. A lot of times if I let that stuff go, I'll trim out the stems, and it's like a celery stalk. They'll put peanut butter in them and whatnot. They taste pretty good. Trying to think if there's anything else. I actually have got that whole seed catalog. I'm sure there's some stuff in there. Yeah, artichokes is another one. That's another one that I wish I could get going here, and I think that's a perennial. And then I'm sure there's like edible flowers too. But yeah, something definitely to check out. So you were talking earlier in that, yeah. You were talking earlier that I think in an email you sent me that you didn't know if you're going to be, don't have a space kind of where you're at now as far as gardening because of stuff that's going on. But you'd still have the opportunity to help your kid out, your son, when you spend time with him, whatever, grow veggies and stuff like that. Yeah, so do you get is things pretty civil where you're able to you get equal time? Like you're gonna be able to spend like I guess consistent time um, with your son and stuff like that. Like, is it are you guys? I guess are things kind of civil? Well, I tell you the buckets. Um, there's a lot. Like one thing I thought about doing. Oh, that's cool. Was getting some muck buckets. I guess they sell them at like Rural King, and there's a channel. It's called Gardening with Leon. Yeah, Gardening with Leon, and he's the one that sells the caterpillar tunnels too. But he does basically all his stuff in these muck buckets, like these big container buckets that he sets up to basically be bottom watered type deal, where he'll put some stuff in the bottom of them and put a PVC pipe down in them, kind of like this grow box I've got here, except it's a lot bigger. And these buckets are close to waist high that he's got, where they're on like a platform, so they are at waist level. And then like tomatoes and stuff, he'll let them grow up a little bit and then just cascade down. Cucumbers, all that stuff, but he's doing all that stuff in containers and is doing pretty awesome with it. Which is one reason why, again, with these grow boxes, thinking about trying to get those going this year for different stuff. The greens and all of that. There's a ton you can do as long as they've got the nutrients in the water and stuff like that. What I can do, I can send you this spreadsheet if you want. And actually, I've got I'll send you the Mittleider gardening manual too, the whatever. I got the PDF. Yeah, Gardening with Leon. I can send you the link to his channel. Trying to think who. There's another big channel he's kind of affiliated with, a guy that's in Oklahoma that does videos. It's pretty popular. Again, his name slips in my mind. It'll probably come to me like 12 o'clock tonight. But anyway, I'll send you some stuff tonight and you can take a look at it. Like I said, ideally, in an ideal world, doing the permaculture and like working with the soil food web and all that is my ideally, that's if I have more time, that's the route I would go. Go towards more of a thing where you don't have to do as many inputs, and it usually takes 4, 5, 6 years to really get it going strong. But this approach and Tom's doing it too, the Mittleider. It gets results, and it's not too difficult, if you follow the recipes and stuff like that. And definitely kind of what, if you're doing containers, that would probably work out pretty good. And it's not that expensive either, like pennies on the dollar. I think, to get enough mix that you'd be set for, the whole season. So... Well, it's not terribly late here, but it is kind of late. I should probably get going to help my better half with the kiddos and stuff. But I'll send you some stuff, Frank, and then yeah, we'd correspond and stuff like that. That'd be fun, and maybe doing like a series or collaboration or something. We'll figure something out. You know, feel free to reach out, anytime. But I'll send you some stuff tonight. You can kind of look over. It's pretty cool. Um, a lot of cool stuff. You know. Yep. All right, man. Well, hey, take care. I lift up a prayer for you tonight, and I'll catch you the next go around. All right, man. Happy Easter. We'll catch you guys later.